Hello everyone, Mr. Laubach here. In this video, we are going to go over the Treaty of Paris of 1783. Now, this treaty is not to be confused with the Treaty of Paris 1763 that ended the French and Indian War. The Treaty of Paris in 1783 officially ended the American Revolutionary War and marked the birth of a new nation, the United States of America. But what exactly did it entail, and what were the key agreements? We are going to look at 7 points here of the treaty. So here we go. First, U.S. independence. A new nation is born. The first and perhaps most important point, Britain formally recognized the United States as an independent nation. For the first time, the American colonies were no longer seen as part of the British Empire, but as a sovereign, independent nation with its own government. This was big. Number 2, new borders and new opportunities. Next, the treaty set the borders of the United States. You can see them on this map. The new U.S. is in green. You'll also note that Canada stayed a British possession. The new country stretched from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Mississippi River, and from Canada to Florida. This territory gave Americans room for growth, but not without challenges. Florida, by the way, went back to Spanish control, as Spain had been a key ally to the American cause during the war. Number 3, fishing rights, securing the New England economy. Fishing might not sound so important today, but it was an enormous part of the economy back then, especially in New England. The treaty guaranteed American fishermen access to rich fishing grounds off of Newfoundland and the Gulf of St. Lawrence. The French also got fishing rights off the coast of Canada. This was essential for keeping the economy of the young nation afloat here in the United States. Number 4, British withdrawal from American soil. Another critical agreement was that British troops would leave American territory, and they had to do it peacefully. No looting or destruction allowed. This clause aimed to ensure a smooth transition of power, but as you can imagine, not everything went perfectly. Number 5, Loyalists, a controversial clause. One of the more delicate parts of the treaty involved Loyalists, Americans who had sided with Britain during the war. The U.S. promised to recommend that states restore their property rights. But here's the catch. It was only a recommendation, not a guarantee. Many states chose not to follow through, leaving a lot of loyalists to fend for themselves or move to Canada or Britain. Number 6, honoring debt. Another important point. Both sides agreed that any debt owed by individuals to creditors would still be paid. Even though the war was over, the economic obligation between citizens and merchants on both sides were not erased. Number 7, free navigation of the Mississippi. The treaty also opened the Mississippi River for navigation by both Americans and the British. This was a big deal for trade and westward expansion, but it also meant that British influence didn't disappear overnight. Control of the river would be in flux for the next couple of decades. Now, you can't talk Treaty of Paris without talking about one of the key figures behind the scenes, Benjamin Franklin. Among many other things, he was a master diplomat. As part of the American negotiating team, he was with John Adams and John Jay. Franklin played a crucial role in securing favorable terms for the United States. His time as an ambassador in France gave him the connections and influence to navigate both British and French interests. He also understood the importance of directly negotiating with Britain, even though France had been a close ally. While other American negotiators like John Adams took a more combative stance, Franklin's charm and practical approach made him the peacemaker of the group. In the end, Franklin's diplomacy helped secure generous borders, fishing rights, and peaceful British withdrawal, paving the way for the United States to thrive. So when we think about the Treaty of Paris, 1783, we have Franklin's efforts to thank for much of its success. So finishing up here, the Treaty of Paris, 1783, marked the official end of the Revolutionary War, but it also laid the groundwork for future conflict. Issues like Native American land rights and tension over British-American trade weren't fully resolved. Still, this treaty was a huge step towards establishing the United States as a nation and gave Americans the space and resources they needed to grow. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learn more about the Treaty of Paris of 1783. Have a great rest of the day.